Today's episode is brought to you by the Vegas Beer Guys.
Everything sequel contains explicit language. And why the fudge not, you melon farmer?
Hello and welcome to the Everything Sequel podcast. This is the breaking news edition. We have a mini-sode for you. Tom,
Yeah.
what are we talking about today?
Can I read to you from some official documentation?
Oh, by all means.
Why should I tell you when I can use the words of Sylvester Stallone?
Bam!
Okay, this is from official Sly Stallone Twitter account.
Official Sly Stallone. It says Sly, right?
Yeah, and it has a tick. So
we know.
he's been cleared. This is real. For the 35th anniversary, Rocky... Oh, I should do it in the voice, shouldn't I? For the 35th anniversary, Rocky IV is good. Okay, no, I'm not going to do that. For the sake of clarity, I'm not gonna do that.
That was the Rocky straight from Big Mouth.
Yeah, it is. That's Sylvester Stallone post plastic surgery
Right.
that I was doing. For the 35th anniversary, Rocky IV is getting a new is capitalized is getting a new director's cut by me.
Is!
By me, the director.
Yeah.
Just in case you forgot. So far, it looks great. Soulful. 2 periods.
That's what I remember mostly about Rocky IV. Soulful.
Is how soulful it is.
Yeah.
Well, he put 2 periods after that, so obviously he thinks it's twice as soulful as you might think.
Heard.
Thank you, MGM, for this opportunity to entertain.
I love it.
The first reply to this, or a reply to this, from D. O'Neila. Don't cut the robot!
Oh, he's cutting that fucking robot. I'll tell you that much.
Response from Sly Stallone. And remember, this is official. Has the tick. At D. O'Neila. I don't like the robot anymore.
Anymore!
Okay. Another conversation on Twitter that Sylvester Stallone had takes. So this is, we're already getting the sense that Seiko's in trouble in this director's cut.
Uh-huh.
D. Dodson 69 tweeted to Sylvester Stallone.
I'm sorry. I'm going to hold you right there. Did I hear that right?
G. Dodson.
We're reading something from someone who has the number 69 at the end of their name.
Yeah.
This should be good, everyone. Go ahead.
Wow, cool. Does it expand on the relationship between Paulie and his robot?
Hang on, stop right there. We can probably stop at wow, cool, can't we?
And it ends with an emoji that is both winking and salivating. And official Sly Stallone. For some reason, the tick isn't here, but I'm assuming it's still official. At G. Dodson 69. The robot is going to the junkyard forever. No more robot. So that is...
Well, where do you stand on that?
But I mean, that is unambiguous.
Oh, no, yeah.
This new director's cut of Rocky IV is going to be without the robot Seiko.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I think the movie should be exactly as it was, just without the robot. No other changes. If that's what happens, you owe me $100.
But wouldn't that mean that but they would talk about the robot in other scenes?
Oh, yeah.
So what they would dub that out and say, "Hey, Paulie with his prostitute."
No, I think they'll just leave it in.
Every time they say, "Hey, Paulie's getting really close with his prostitute." Anyway, so here's the thing. I mean, I don't know about you. I have always thought that the robot Seiko is the weakest point of Rocky 4. That it's the part of Rocky 4 that makes it difficult to take seriously as a movie. One of
Is this robot really in this movie enough for you to stop taking the movie seriously?
it's I mean, well, this is the thing. This is so. Yeah, my reaction was entirely negative. I thought they should not be trying. They should not remove this from the movie. But I didn't know why I thought that. Because in abstract, it's a good decision. Like, before we go into, like, you know, I think I figured out why I don't like it, but before that, what did you think?
Back then?
No, yeah, both. Back then and now.
I mean, back then, I just thought it was a silly comedic beat, but it made me laugh. I mean, I think it's, you know, kind of weird when it comes out and, you know, it kind of goes into disco lighting and it's, you know, happy birthday, Paulie. That kind of thing. And Paulie's creeped out. What is this thing? It's like, come on, it's great. Come on. But I think it's funny when the next time you see the robot, he's like, hey, stud, how's it going?
Right.
He's like, Paulie, who taught it to talk like that? She loves me. You know? I mean, it, you know, still makes me laugh.
Okay.
But I'm not going to miss it.
But you're not going to miss it, so you're okay with them taking it out.
Yeah, I recognize it for as stupid and ridiculous as it is, but never bothered me.
Yeah. Well,
that's the thing about Rocky IV in general is, Rocky IV, I loved Rocky IV.
Yes.
When I was, when it first came out.
And full disclosure, we will do the Rocky series, but we're talking about issues that stand on their own, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, Rocky IV is such a movie of its time.
You see, that's the problem I have. That's the big reason why I don't think they should take the robot out.
Oh, okay.
I began to realize, because I was talking to people on Facebook who were like, great, my least favorite part of the movie's going. And I was like, yeah, it's my least favorite part of the movie too, but I don't want them to take it out. And I was trying to, but I had no way to back that up. And then I realized it's because I've been doing this fucking podcast. And because I'm getting so used to seeing movies like in their own historical context.
Right.
Because that's the way we talk about them. You know, every time we do a movie from the early 90s, there's a scene in a talk radio station.
Right. Or glaring racism from the 80s and 90s, yeah.
So I'm just like, I just think that's it's uprooting the movie from.
So it's kind of the thing of yeah, the robot scene is a loose thread, but if I pull on it, trying to take it out, the whole thing might unravel.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that. And then I started, because we've talked a little bit about director's cuts of sequels before when we were doing Superman. Mm-hmm. And we both agreed, the theatrical version of Superman 2 we were going to do above the Richard Donner cut.
Right.
We gave our reasons then. I don't want to repeat them, but for me, one of the big problems is when that happens, somebody gets screwed.
Yeah.
When stuff is taken out of movies for what might be perfectly good reasons, people get screwed.
But at the same time,
Burt Young is going to get royally screwed by this.
I think he'll be okay with it.
I don't know how he's going to feel about it. But what I mean
but maybe it's to put something else in with Paulie. We don't know yet.
Well, the main dynamic of his scenes is Paulie and the robot. As G. Dudson 69 previously reported.
Right.
So, but that does that mean that Burt Young's not going to have anything to do in this, which is,
Well, see, that's the thing, though.
Second to last movie. No, his third to last movie in the Rocky canon.
Yes, third to last.
So, is it fair? Is it an ethical thing to do? And I mean, I don't think this ever crosses Sly Stallone's mind, but
No, of course not. But also, that's a question we can't answer until you see the new movie, right?
you think they filmed a non-robot subplot for Paulie with like a human prostitute,
Well,
a human
no.
maid slash prostitute.
No,
If
but
they couldn't, they filmed it in case they couldn't get the robot to work.
okay, so here's the only reason I say this is because Rocky IV contains one of the best and most heartfelt moments between Burt Young and Sylvester Stallone, between Paulie and Rocky.
Yeah.
When they're walking out for his final match against Ivan Drago, that speech that Paulie gives about people look at me like I'm a bum and you gave me respect. And I mean, like, I bet if I was watching that right now, I'd probably well up. It's a really nice moment of acting. So if more was added to that in the terms of bickering, fighting, blah, 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 why don't you do something with your life, something in that vein, I think that's a positive. Whether or not any of that was originally shot and then taken out for the sake of robot, like robot comic relief, I can't discount that that's possible.
You think that
But-
there's a de-aged Burt Young in there? Is that what Sly Stallone's doing in his basement right now? He's refilming.
Oh, I hope not.
He's doing green screen,
Oh, I hope not.
de-aged. Burt Young is in his basement with ping pong balls on his face.
Yeah, full Irishman.
I think the solution is more, but not more Paulie, more robot. I'm
Like-
all with G Dodson 69 on this.
They bring the robot to Russia to help train.
No, in other Rocky movies.
Oh, I'm
I'm starting to think that, this is the Jar Jar Binks dilemma.
Well, that
Okay.
robot would have been sold because Rocky V is all about him becoming poor again. So
And
sorry.
the fact that they didn't when they're auctioning off their stuff, that this wasn't like the most expensive thing they owned.
I would have killed to see that scene in Rocky V.
Oh, I've got some great ideas about how we can incorporate him. But just to explain the Jar Jar Binks dilemma, you have something that is objectively awful that you plan to have throughout a
Right.
number of movies. You get cold feet because people hate it, and you slowly cut it out of subsequent movies. That's what happened with Jar Jar Binks, and you're like,
Sure.
okay, is it? And when you watch the Star Wars prequels, I go between two modes of thought. One being, I don't want any Jar Jar Binks in here. To, if they're gonna have him in, he has to be in equal amounts in all three movies for it to work.
Yeah.
And I kind of starting to feel that way about the robot.
I
when
can
I
tell
saw
you
the
that I
pre-
never had that feeling about Jar Jar Binks. I'm like, thank you for listening. Fuck that guy. Less is more.
You've never thought in as much detail about that.
No.
Surprising.
In fact,
But
I don't want to talk about that. Well, I don't want to jump into the Star Wars.
No. But that's just
Go ahead.
that's where, just to give people an analogy. And the second part of that is that in the Creed movies, I saw two golden opportunities to get that robot in. One is in the first Creed movie where Creed is looking at Rocky's memorabilia room.
Yeah.
He's like a room in his house. It's just full of all his memorabilia, and it's stuff from the previous movies.
Sure.
Stick a robot in the middle. Just have the camera gently glance by. Don't have to stop for it. Keep the camera moving as it did. But there's a robot in there. So that's one. Creed 2. I don't. Big spoiler alert. He reunites with his son and his grandson, who he doesn't know, Rocky, at the end of the movie. A little bit of ADR as they're going into the apartment, he reunites with his grandson, and his grandson says, "Hey, Granddad, let me show you my robot." To which Rocky could reply, "Oh yeah, your dad had a robot." So that's my solution to the problem.
Well,
I feel,
I think you're loosely using the word solution.
but I mean, this is something we're going to face again and again, because sequels, especially as the film series go on, include a lot of crazy shit that people are going to want to cut out.
Yeah.
And
Well, see, the thing to me about Rocky IV is that, to what you spoke about, Sly speaking about, this idea of it's coming along nicely, it's really soulful. I mean, this is a Cold War movie.
yes,
So if you change it from a Cold War movie to whatever it's going to be, a movie between him and his wife, I don't know. Do enough problems in their relationship present themselves to make that the focus of the story? It's in there. She shows up later to training. She doesn't go at first, that kind of thing. But
yeah.
does that, if you change that, do you lose what was kind of special and magical about it in the first place? This idea of a Cold War, one man can change the minds of two countries based on his unwillingness to fall down to the mat, which is just hysterical and wonderful, I think.
But I mean, that's
what I love about Rocky IV.
We might be missing here is that while the robot is difficult to take seriously because it's science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
To my knowledge,
because it does not exist.
To my knowledge, there was no robot that advanced created in the 1980s.
Correct.
Okay. No, there was no. I mean, Asimov can do about half of that, and that was like the 2000s.
Right.
But the sci-fi, like what you're speaking to is just maybe this is like the perfect tone picture for the movie. It's like, hey, this looks insane that we've got this robot right here.
Mm-hmm.
But brace yourselves, because at the end of this movie, this man is gonna break down the Berlin Wall.
Right. Yeah.
By fighting a man in a boxing ring.
Well, fighting a Goliath.
Who was
ring.
already a genetically altered human.
Right.
So actually, there's a lot of science fiction in this movie. So maybe
but it's dressed up as, dramatically, it's dressed up as science versus, I don't know, will. Because his whole training montage is about nature. So it's nature versus science, essentially, is
Mike, this movie's going to fall apart without Seiko. You've just explained to me why the robot is the perfect. It's like an amuse-bouche for what you're about to see.
Right, yeah.
But so,
Sly, are you listening?
Hmm?
I'm saying, Sly Stallone, are you listening? Tom wants you to keep that fucking robot, buddy.
Well, he responded to these two jokers. So I don't see why he wouldn't. He's in his basement all day looking at outtakes of Dolph Lundgren. He must need.
What's that guy's name? What's the guy's name? 69's name?
G. Dodson 69.
I just imagine, I need a name. G. Dodson 69. Ha! Hilarious.
So he's a citizen journalist.
The invention of the name.
So yeah, it's like I wanted this to start a kind of dialogue, which I think will be ongoing in the future podcasts we do about, is it ever right to go back to a sequel and
fuck with it.
fuck with it, particularly in a way that is like, trying to take out. I mean, in previous. Oh well, I don't know where this is going to go, so I don't know if it's future or past episodes. But Highlander 2: The Quickening. There are cuts of that movie that exist where they're not aliens, and there are cuts of the movie where they are aliens.
Wow.
That seems to me a pretty essential difference. But I mean, very clearly, one choice is right and one isn't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There are. It's a clear difference.
But is it ever right to do that? And what do we lose more than we gain? And I'm just listen. I'm not Sylvester Stallone. He knows what he's doing.
Oh, big fan.
Yeah, we're both big fans, which is
Yeah.
why I took this news very personally. But so yeah, this is where we are. But this whole idea of I mean, there was an extended cut of A Good Day to Die Hard. I'm never watching that.
Ooh, no, not necessary.
I mean, I already paid $3.99 for it.
Well, and I feel the same way about
That's
a
the
director's.
$3.99.
Yeah, I paid $3.99 to watch that for our podcast, and I thought, too much money.
Yeah.
But-
And equally with the Richard Donner cut of the Superman 2. I mean, I have seen that, but
Yeah.
I would never.
As of yet, is it out yet? This Snyder Dawn of Justice, or
I think it might be on HBO Max.
Okay. because
And
I find
dep-
myself
depending on
completely
when
uninterested.
this podcast is aired, congratulations, President Biden, or fuck you, President Trump.
Well said.
Not to get political,
I don't think we'll lose any listeners.
but this movie is very political.
Oh, yeah.
The movie
Well,
that
we're
talking
jumping
about.
around a lot. I'm sure Tom's referring to Rocky IV.
Yes, indeed. No, I'm talking about Highlander 2: The Quickening.
Yeah, very
It's
political.
it's the beginnings of Scottish nationalism.
But isn't that remarkable that, I mean, we start off talking about Rocky IV, and there's something essential within sequel-dom
Yes.
that it speaks to Superman. It speaks to Highlander. You know what I mean? We're talking about Dawn of Justice.
Yeah.
It just, there's something within the verse of sequels.
Yeah, and I think
It's like they're all interconnected to themselves.
yeah, when sequels don't do too well critically, or when they've made a really left field choice, we suddenly shift to this idea that you can create a cut that will somehow deal with that problem, but all it's doing is cutting out the cancer. It's not doing anything for the rest of the body of the film. I mean, I've before I salivated at the thought of what Superman 4 could have been if that last hour was in I know you're sick of hearing this.
Well, you're on your own there, my friend.
But I also, I see it from your side, which is why would two different kinds of garbage make one good thing?
Right. Yeah.
One not garbage thing. And it comes down to, I mean, also, why is Sly Stallone taking the robot out? Is it just because he's embarrassed because it looks dated now?
He himself said, I don't like it anymore, which I think is telling, because it means in 1985, I loved it.
I was all in.
I was all the fuck in for it then. Now I have grown with age.
Is he just disappointed that robotics didn't keep up with his vision?
His vision,
in a
right?
timely
Maybe.
enough fashion. He was like, in 2020, this is going to look
Yeah.
visionary.
It might be vanity. It might just be vanity. Oh my gosh, my prediction didn't come true.
Yeah.
I look the fool. Fuck that shit. Getting rid of it.
And also, can he cut the racism out of Last Blood while he's at it? That would just be like a movie. That would just be blowing up a ranch, and the movie would be about 10 minutes long.
I was going to say, it would be explosions, done.
There's also a director's cut of that.
But Tom, we'll get there.
We will.
You have to wait.
I know you have to wait, but this is a separate issue, which is Seco is what happens to Seco is gonna affect us all.
Heard. All right. That's it for Rocky Ford news. Do you like Cisco? Do you want Cisco to stay or go? Let us know. Find out or rather, tell us on Facebook. Let us know on Instagram or Twitter. Send us an email at everythingsequel@gmail.
And if you're tweeting, hashtag SecoYo or hashtag SecoNo.
Heard. Well done. For Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, I'm Mike Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. Thanks for listening to the Minisode. We'll talk to you soon.
Happy birthday, Paulie.
So long, everyone.
I like to think I know something about beer, but nowadays even I get overwhelmed when confronted by the exhaustive selection of craft beers they have at bars, breweries, and even grocery stores. Back in the day you had one, maybe two craft beers to choose from, and if you were confused, you ordered a Guinness. But in beerstinations like San Diego, the craft beer options lately are in double, sometimes even triple digits. So what's a beer drinker to do? You need what I need, the Vegas Beer Guys. Your beer of choice should be a perfect blend of malt and hops. And so a live show about beer needs that same balance. And the Vegas Beer Guys matches beer expert Dan Aker with self-proclaimed beer novice Stephen J. Weiss. The results are eminently drinkable. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. They'll try new beers, they'll tell you about beer. Think of them as your beer Sherpas guiding you up a foamy-headed mountain to reach the peak of your pint. God, I need a beer.